There is a story that should send a chill up your spine. The Chinese have been able to hack the surveillance and wiretapping system that American telecom companies built for the use of the U.S. federal law enforcement agencies after 9/11. And they are currently in the system using it. Millions of mobile phone users on the network of 3 U.S. carriers are subject to Chinese government surveillance. In particular, the SMS and RCS system. So if you are an Apple user, if you're an iPhone user, Charlie, and you are texting other iPhone users, you get that blue chat bubble, you've got nothing to worry about. But if you're trading green chat bubbles with friends, if you're on the Android system, if you're on any other cell system that's not an iPhone, the Chinese are literally reading everything you have and able to snoop into your phone calls as well. Josh Rogan of the Washington Post is pointing this out. Several officials told me that targets identified by the intelligence community are senior government officials and top business leaders. It's much more serious and much worse than even what you presume at this point, says Senate Intelligence Committee Chairman Senator Warner of Virginia. It's one of the most serious breaches in my time on the Intelligence Committee. The officials said the number of compromised targets identified in the investigation is growing. Multiple officials briefed by investigators said the U.S. government does not know how many people were targeted, how many were surveilled, how long the Chinese hackers have been in the system, or even how to get them out of the system. Right now, China has the ability to listen to any phone call in the United States, whether you're the president of the United States or a regular Joe. It makes no difference, said one of the victims, according to a briefing given to him by the FBI. This has compromised the entire telecommunications infrastructure of the country. The Chinese government could use its infiltration of the telecom network to disable them during warfare, for instance. The network collected from Americans, the information collected from Americans could be used for blackmail or disinformation. Not only are they potentially inserting malware to disrupt the telecommunications system, it's a surveillance system where they're compiling data on all of us. And here's the key point here. The government of the United States, led by Joseph Robinette Biden, the current president of the United States, has no idea how to get them out of the system. Let me say this again. The Chinese government is actively right now infiltrating the major telecom companies and our cell phone networks in this country. The Chinese government at this very moment has the ability to listen to your phone calls and read all of your text messages unless they're sent through iMessage. They can use that information to blackmail you. They can use that information to shut down our wireless telecom system. They can use that information to insert malware. They can use that information against the United States. It is the most massive security breach of our telecommunications system ever. And they're using the backdoor system developed by telecom companies after 9/11 for the United States government to be able to root out terrorism. And our government is doing nothing. This is a hard thing to talk about at the close of a political campaign when people are focused on the economy, they're focused on illegal immigrants. But this is a massive story. This is a massive big deal. Jamie Dimon, the chairman of Citibank, or Citigroup, I guess. The Citigroup, no, it's Chase. It's JP Morgan Chase, Jamie Dimon. He says World War III has already started. And I don't necessarily think he's wrong. Certainly a Cold War period. And right now, China seems to be winning. Decline is a choice, and we seem to have chosen decline. The United States government has difficulty right now in Joe Biden's administration putting ships to sea, fixing submarines that need fixing, manufacturing weapons systems and ammunition at sufficient rates. We're dependent on the Chinese for microchips. And all of Chinese industrial capacity is militarized by the Chinese Communist Party and the People's Liberation Army. And we're doing nothing about it. Think about that balloon that flew over in February of last year. Got all the way across the United States snooping and collecting data. The Biden administration decided it was far better to allow the Chinese to spy on all of us than shoot it down, even over the mountains of the Rockies and the wide territory of Montana, lest it fall on someone and have to wait for it to get all the way across the United States and go into the ocean. And they claimed that they were able to jam it so that it couldn't actually get information, but only after the fact did they say, actually, that's not true. It's remarkable. We've gotten weaker. And this is the Biden-Harris administration. Kamala Harris is involved in this. This is a massive breach of our national security for which they haven't done anything. These are the sorts of issues that will shape the election. These are the sorts of issues that will shape the future of this country. These are the sorts of issues that are going to shape our ability to respond to China. And what we have in the Biden administration are a bunch of nonprofit academics who have taken over our national security apparatus, who do not particularly like the United States and certainly don't like Israel. And they've been caught flat-footed by this. The Chinese are in it to win it. Our academics are in it to lecture us and scold us. It's part of the problem here. The Biden administration overwhelmingly, the Obama administration actually set the record for most academics in an administration. The overwhelming number of people who worked for Barack Obama had never had a job in the private sector, and Joe Biden has actually beaten that record. Joe Biden now has more people in the Biden administration who worked in academia and nonprofits and not the private sector. And the academics have put us all behind. You know, John McCain, for all of his faults, said that Anthony Blinken was one of the most worthless public servants in America and should never be let anywhere near power. And then Joe Biden gets into the White House and makes him Secretary of State. Jake Sullivan's not much better. You know, Jake Sullivan's wife is running for Congress in New Hampshire. Did y'all see the clip of the lady? She immigrated from Asia, not from China, I think, but in very broken English. She's running as a Republican. She's the one who got the pocket constitution, read it, and became a conservative, supported liberty. She's running for Congress, and she doesn't have fantastic English. She's running as a Republican against Jake Sullivan's wife, who was just snide and arrogant in that debate against this Chinese immigrant lady, or Asian immigrant lady. We got a lot of people in this country who have fled the communists who would love to help. They're shut out of the Biden administration. This is a major national security breach. The Chinese have infiltrated all of our wireless telecommunication services. And you know one of the things you can do with wireless telecom now, you can track people. You find out someone's phone, you can track them wherever they go. You can track them across the country. The New York Times showed how this data can be used to identify key individuals and then follow them wherever they go. The Chinese now have that capacity. The Chinese now have access to all your text messages. They have all the data that you're downloading to your phone. You're looking at a pornographic site, the Chinese know. Your phone calls, they know what you're saying to your friends. Everybody needs to call a friend today and insult Xi Jinping. So the Chinese have it. Everybody needs to call a friend today and talk about the Tiananmen Square massacre, because I bet the Chinese soldiers listening to your phone calls have no idea about the Tiananmen Square. China has compromised our national security. They've compromised our cell services. And the most damning indictment of all is that the Biden administration has no idea what to do about it. And the President of the United States is back in Delaware, back on vacation.